love me, but I don't believe a word from your mouth. That night they caught the fire, the rockets would explode. Well, my best friend says he knows you, and that you're a fucking hoe. So we walked down to the beachside to kill a near took my life. I went Santa Ground in my teeth, and nothing ever tastes so right, Lord. Hell yeah, the next night down we went drinking, cause we surfed all goddamn day. And that night at the party, you know the ladies are off to stay. Well, I took that round to heaven, but somehow I came falling back down. If you're thinking you about to drink, it only gets passed around, yeah. Did you know this is where I go? This is my road to heaven. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Lord, my road to heaven. Oh, my road to heaven.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Interview with a Wolf. We are here today with a goat, itzBolt. And I just wanted to say, this Interview with a Wolf, number 12, by the way, dude, number 12. We just had Peyton on last time, Slayer before it. We've been killing it here. This is where we dive into the DAO, the Wolf's DAO, and we meet the members of the DAO, the hive mind, as they call it. So today, again, we have itzBolt. He's building Bolt Radar, which is early project and gaming overviews. He's also a member of the DAO. How are you doing today, my bro?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. A lot of great interviews so far, so definitely excited to have my chance to hop on with you and chat some more.
Just
But
realized I still got a toothpick on my mouth, so pardon my French. Oh man, I'm like freaking doing the freaking intros with the toothpick in my mouth, man. That's freaking multi-skilled right there.
yeah, just casually in there.
Yeah, dude. Man. Okay, so I wanted to first and foremost point the direction, your attention to the background.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Yeah, dude.
That's
What do you
amazing.
think? What do you think about all this? It's a something we do. I'm sure you've seen it before. You may have, you may not. For anybody new watching out there, and for you, Bolt, we do something special for everyone that comes on the stream. It's special one-of-one artwork. We incorporate your brand into the stream, and that's just our way of doing something different in an already saturated market of streamers.
Yeah.
So shout out to Juliana. She's a project artist for Pupils. For everybody out there, if this is the first time we met, my name is Paul, founder of Pupils, and this is Bolt, and we're about to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, just shout out to the artist. I love incorporating my character, some of the logo stuff as well. Got the Luffy from One Piece, so that's definitely really cool to see. And I'm excited to be here and chat.
Oh yeah, bro. So the way that we run this thing is it's kind of like a past, present, and future type of thing. The one thing that always brings me back, and it's always really exciting to talk about, because especially with fellow gamers, is where you started, man. Like, what did your childhood look like with your brothers and sisters and cousins or whoever you played games with, and what games did you play? We just get into it?
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, I played more consoles, so like, I guess like PlayStation 1. Played a lot of Digimon, played a lot of Crash Bandicoot. I played a lot of Digimon actually with my dad. I did have a curfew, but we would play up to until then, and until bedtime we just played Digimon together. And then I started playing more on like my computer, so I started playing like RuneScape and stuff. I was part of a guild during those times as well. And then I kind of slowly started getting into more games that I would try to like rank up on ladders. So I played a lot of League of Legends back then. Not amazing at the game, but I kind of got my competitiveness there. And I started playing Hearthstone in open beta, or actually closed beta. And I competed during those days as well. So that's where a lot of my experience in esports does come from. Um, and then kind of
You,
transitioned to
so when
Web3.
you say competed, did you professionally play in Hearthstone then?
I was, I guess, semi-professional. I would play in online tournaments. I would play in local tournaments as well. And while I was studying in college, so I was competing in the collegiate scene. And in my last year of college, we took the championships for one of the leagues there. So
Damn.
that was a pretty cool.
Oh yeah. What kind of trophy they give you for winning that?
We got like a medal. It wasn't like anything crazy, but it was fun. And
Yeah,
it's hosted at DreamHack as well, so it was a great venue.
well, I gotta say, man, on the timeline, looking at the timeline, getting introduced and getting familiar with all the wolves out there. One thing that stands out to me is your infectious smile. You got this smile that just like lights up the stage. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of props for that. Um, I wanted to get into some of the other things that I saw that you
Mhm.
just took part in recently, and I want and so you said that you were big time into anime. You also said that you just recently went to Japan.
Yeah,
We had the chance to talk for, I don't know, maybe about an hour a couple weeks ago while
yeah.
we were putting this stuff up. Can you tell everybody what your inspiration was? And just like you're going to Japan, was it primarily because of anime? Was it family? Like how'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love like the Japanese culture of like anime. I love like ramen. I love sushi. So I've been a couple times. As an adult, I took my girlfriend there for the first time 2 years back, and we like as soon as we landed and kind of roamed around the city, like we knew we were going back. So we kind of planned this trip. So we got to visit a few new places this time. We went to Fukuoka, went to Hiroshima, went back to Osaka. Actually met up with another wolf as well, Web3 Wesley. He
Oh,
took us around because he lives over there. So it was definitely a fun trip there.
yeah, right on. I saw some action figures that
Oh
you
yeah.
just. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I
What
mean,
significance?
previously, I mean, I was living at my parents' home, and I had like, a pretty small like bedroom, so I didn't really decorate. I didn't really buy like too many different things. But last year we moved into a new apartment, my girlfriend and I. So now, like behind me, I have my shelf. I have my Coke collection. She has some of her jelly cats. So I started buying a little bit more figures this time around, and spending some money that way. I got some Hunter x Hunter anime figurines. We went to Kumamoto, which is where Oda, who wrote One Piece or drew One Piece, is from. And they had an earthquake back in 2021. So it kind of destroyed the city a little bit. But since Oda was from that town of Kumamoto, he actually donated a bunch of money to help rebuild the city. And they actually built like these like One Piece statues in the city, kind of spread out throughout. And there's like these like bronze statues, and if you actually visit them, you can see them like really tall statues, and you can actually buy like the mini figurines. So we went around checking out all those statues. It was really cool.
How was the food there? I see one of you said the best oysters in Hiroshima. How was that? Because I love oysters, man. I absolutely love them. They look pretty good, man. Pretty meaty.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like we have some pretty good oysters here in Vancouver, but like I had those oysters and I was like, yeah, literally, this is the best I've ever had. A little bit more on the expensive side, but they're like big and nice and creamy. It was really amazing, and I mean the ramen was amazing. Fukuoka has really good tonkatsu ramen. So we had a bunch of ramen there, and we had a bunch of like sushi meals. So
So
seafood's always amazing.
the actual like cost of living and stuff like that, is it pretty
Yeah.
expensive over there to like go on a trip, or like for the people who live there and versus like vacation there? Like, is it pretty expensive to go to Japan?
I think coming from North America, it's relatively cheap. I think if you're living in Japan and like making their type of wage, it might be a little bit more expensive, but I don't think it's as expensive as like most North American cities or whatnot there. And I mean, recently the yen has been doing pretty well in the currency. It has kind of recovered a little bit, but previously, yeah, a lot of tourism because the yen was pretty weak, so you could kind of get your bang for your buck by visiting Japan. And it's always like a very safe place to visit, very cleanly. So always enjoy a trip there.
Yeah, one of my buddies last, I believe, October. Shout out to JB. He's a D God
Oh
brother.
yeah, yeah,
But he went there. I want to say like September or October last year for like three
yeah,
weeks. He went there for a long time, but he said it was awesome, and
yeah.
he was like highly recommending the trip. But yeah, so like kind of moving forward. Like you talked about anime, you talked about One Piece. I recently, although I haven't really been into anime as strongly as others, the
Mhm.
one thing I did do is I watched the live actions show of One Piece lately.
Yeah.
What did you think about that
I
compared to
think
the cartoon?
Yeah, I mean, generally, live actions have pretty bad rep in terms of how they represent the manga or anime. But I actually thought the One Piece one was actually done pretty well, so I was kind of really grateful for that and excited to see what they do with the rest of the live action series. Obviously, I do prefer the animation, but I think they did the live action pretty well. Um, I did make a joke with some of my coworkers that we talked anime about back in my Web 2 job. And we were kind of joking about figurines and like you're like a kid and you tell your parents that you want an One Piece figurine and they get you the live action one by accident, which would be pretty funny. But no, I think overall like they did the live action pretty well.
Yeah. So speaking of live action, there was just an announcement recently
Mhm.
uh, for the Legend of Zelda. I believe it's coming out in 2026 or 2027. Did you hear about that?
No, I actually haven't, but I think yeah, that'll be quite interesting. I think a lot of the recent movies or TV shows have been pretty well received, like from game into to movie or game into TV shows. So we'll see how that does.
And correction, I don't know if it's going to be live action. I'm just
Mhm.
assuming it is. It might be CGI, but
Okay. Yeah.
regardless, I mean, that's one of the games that I played and I
Yeah.
absolutely love. I played pretty much every single Legend of Zelda. Same with my kids. We all love it. So it's going to be, I'm pretty sure we're going to be all geared up going there.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, kind of, you know, moving forward to some of the other aspects of things, you know, so you said that you, before, you know, you work on something called Bolt Radar. But before we get into that, I'm really interested to see your journey into Web3. Like, how did you actually get into Web3?
Yeah. I mean, I did have a few friends that were talking to me about crypto before. I didn't really pay too much attention to it. It was kind of like slowly a few small factors that kind of got into it. I did come from a Hearthstone background, and one of my friends from Hearthstone, and was also a local friend as well. He sent me a game called Gods Unchained, and this was back in 2021. They had a very simple like if you get or play a certain amount of games or a certain level, you would get I think it was like $10 of Ethereum on Coinbase or something. So I like made a wallet. I played the card game. But at the time I was pretty burnt out from card games, so I only played a little bit. But it was like very cool to see that. And then I think a few months later they did end up doing an airdrop for the immutable token and then the gods token as well. And I was like, wait, what was that? So I kind of like delved into that a little bit more. But that was kind of the gateway there to kind of finding out more about Web3 and Web3 gaming.
So about 2021, your friend introduced you to Gods Unchained, which is a game that's on Ethereum, and you played it for a little bit, but then you ended up getting more down the rabbit hole, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was like a $2,000 airdrop, and I played for like 2 weeks maybe.
Damn.
And on top of that, like $10 referral or whatever. But I was like, wait, what is this? And like, how do I learn more about it? So I kind of dove into that a little bit more. Started trading NFTs a little bit more, and kind of pursuing a side career in the land of crypto.
Yeah. So speaking of which, that kind of segues into this Bolt radar. And one thing that I saw here, and I've watched some of your content, is you look up. I guess you're kind of like an alpha caller because you're looking into early projects, and then you have gaming overviews, and
Mhm.
that is called Bolt radar. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, yeah. I think so. I started doing content creation on the Web3 side in August of 2022. Just prior to that, I was working in an alpha group. So I was doing a bunch of, I was on the research team doing a bunch of vetting of what projects we should collaborate with, what we should be paying attention to. Really focused on the early alpha. And eventually they didn't switch their budget into stable, so they kind of lost a lot of their budget. Eventually they let me go. But I thought that, hey, like I was doing this all this time for the group with the core team. Why don't I just bring this and show it on Twitter? So I would do threads before threads were really popular. I would be writing threads about projects. I would talk about a bunch of different stuff on Twitter, and that's how I got into content creation. And kind of, yeah, I guess like since I was doing the work anyways, just kind of sharing what I found about new projects and whatnot there.
Awesome, man. So you were early to threads. So yeah, that's something interesting to me. I
Mhm.
mean, were you early to any other projects? Like what are some of the other projects like NFTs and whatnot that you got into in 2021? You said you traded.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the earliest, this would be my second project that I've ever written about, and it would be about Azra. Um, Very quite, I think, pretty low key right now. I mean, they've been building. I mean, their founder has built part of the Star Wars gaming franchise, and they're working on an amazing game. But I found that one quite early on. I found a bunch of other ones like Sparkball and stuff early on that's still quite relevant today. So yeah, definitely a lot of games that have been showing promise. I mean, obviously with how the space is as well. Like obviously some have stopped existing or have shut down by now, but definitely a few quite great gems during my early days.
Right on. And so you're talking about games. Now you also mentioned NFTs though.
Hmm.
So with the NFTs that you collected in 2021, they were mainly game centric though. Is that what I'm hearing?
Um, yeah, I mean, back then it was quite a wild time, so I probably have a bunch of junk in my wallet as well. But I mean, a mixture of PFVs, but I did kind of switch focus towards gaming as the market started to wind down at the end of 2021 into 2022. It was kind of okay, like I do believe in the gaming side of things, so let's just kind of focus that on that and kind of build that portfolio around that as well.
Right on. One thing that I noticed when you went into, I think it was GDC when I saw this,
Yeah.
you have these coins. I believe it's you. Is it you that makes
Yeah.
these coins? And
Yeah.
you have a special signature move that you do. And I don't know how long you've been doing it, but you have created these coins. Can you kind of just walk us through how that came about and how long have you been doing it and what does it symbolize? Like those three things.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, yeah, I have the coins that I've made. I've started them actually this year. So this one was for the Parallel World Championships. So it has my logo. It has my character with some cards. And
Oh,
then for GDC, this one's a little bit harder to see on camera, but Has my logo and has the sponsor logo for OP Games that sponsored the coins for GDC, and then it has my character. Oh, there you go. It has my character, and it has the Golden Gate Bridge in the background for the representing GDC as it is based in San Francisco. So how the idea came about was whenever I do travel with my girlfriend, we look for like those penny press machines. We look for those like souvenir coins whenever we travel. So that came to mind when I was in Token 2049 last year in Singapore, and I was just getting one to bring back to my girlfriend. I was like, hey, like, wouldn't this be a cool idea if I was able to give somebody a coin for each event that I go to, share some of those memories of the event. They could have it sitting on their shelf, or sitting on their desk, and they just can look at it. Like, oh yeah, I remember that event. I spent a lot of time with Bolt that trip. We, like, did whatever. So I felt like it was a good, memorable souvenir to bring back and give out to people. Another factor is that in person I'm quite introverted, so I'm a little bit shy. So what I found is that actually, like, being able to give these coins out physically, it's a great conversation starter.
Totally.
So that kind of helps me with like the networking and stuff as well. So it's kind of multifactorial in that sense. So I've done two coins this year, one for the Parallel World Championships, and then the second one for GDC, and I'll probably look to do a third sometime this year for my next event.
Yeah. One thing I want to let you know. I'm going to step
Mhm.
back there for 1 second, and because you and I have something in common. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
So this thing right here, I started doing these coins, and this is actually, I'm not sure if you can see this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but so this right here was for the D Gods community. There's a Ute on the back right here.
Yeah.
There's a D God right here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Not the D guy. I did see the U.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
there
there
it
you
is.
go. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the Ute side's pretty banger too. Not sure if you guys can see this right there.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so these are silver coins. I made these for everybody, and I started just giving them out. It costs so much money to manufacture these things. I was really interested in talking to you about that because, a lot of people don't realize you gotta make the cast, and the cast costs a lot of money, and then with the cast, then you could make the coins, and the coins, these are all like pure silver. I'm not sure
Mhm.
like the material, but like I wanted to get something that was like pure silver. But anyway, yeah, it was a really interesting. It was an interesting experiment. What material did you guys use on yours?
Yeah. I mean, definitely not as hardcore as what you've done. I mean, I had a production company help create the coins. I just had artists design it, and I sent over the designs over to the company. So I'm not exactly too sure on the actual materials on the coins there, or the specifics. I would say, but definitely I think yours are a little bit more high quality than what I have with the full
You, it
silver.
was it's a really cool. You know what? And so you mentioned a second ago that you're an introvert, and what's so surprising about that is I would actually consider myself a little bit of an introvert too.
Mhm.
But over time, just like doing things like this,
Yeah,
breaking outside of the mold and just getting comfortable being uncomfortable,
yeah.
something that I've been experimenting with. Doing content creation, has that ever hindered you, or is that one of the reasons why you started doing content creation, to kind of get past that whole being uncomfortable, or maybe around people, or whatever you were struggling with?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily, but I mean, I started doing content as a way to kind of help people. Like, I guess when I was doing the Hearthstone, like competing semi-professionally, I also did like coaching and stuff as well. I wrote like strategy guides and stuff. So it's kind of like being able to connect with people and do that. I would also like play with other players online, and we would just like practice like different strategies and stuff. So kind of in the same vein, like trying to help out as many people as I can with the content. But yeah, I kind of what you mentioned of like kind of building on and kind of having exposure to that, like each event that I go to, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable with talking to people. Like networking isn't like my most favorite thing to do, but it has gotten easier with being able to go to different events and kind of speaking with new people and also the same people and kind of growing those bonds and stuff as well.
Oh, especially if you have like something to give them, like a gift, like
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I know what you're doing is really super cool, and I love absolutely love it. Are there any other things that you could tell me about Bolt Radar, specifically like the design of the logo? Where did that come about?
Yeah, so I mean, I did a revamp of kind of my brand identity last year. Um, Towards, I believe it was November last year, and I kind of had it going as I went into YGG Play Summit in the Philippines. I kind of unveiled it at that event, but I was messing around with a few ideas. I mean, I've been having the Bolt, itzBolt handle for quite some time, and always kind of about like the lightning kind of tied to it. I did a lot of track and field back in the day, so I love Usain Bolt, kind of where some of that inspiration does come from.
Hmm,
Um, so I was messing around with a few ideas of like I love card games, so it's like maybe like a Gambit kind of character or like maybe like a wizard or something else. But what I eventually came to was this character that runs a ship, and he navigates like Web3 and the Ether, kind of like tying that together with a, and then he has this like radar or a compass on his wrist, and that was kind of the focus of the logo, and kind of my way of showing like I can help you navigate Web3, navigate Web3 gaming. So that was the focus of the logo, and then I had this like character created,
that's
and
really
looking to build more lore around that as I kind of build up my brand.
no, that's super smart, man. I think you were probably doing some storytelling and whatnot before a lot of people even started doing that, or before it was the meta. One thing I've been doing is I've been reading some books lately. One of them is called Building a Story Brand, and
Hmm.
they talk about all the big brands like Coca Cola and Apple
Yeah.
and things like that, who have built such powerful brands around storytelling.
Hmm.
And so that's really interesting that you were foresighted enough to really, almost, you have a character which is the people you're trying to help, and you have a problem which is everybody trying to navigate through Web3,
Yeah.
and you have the guide which is you, and
Yeah.
the compass, and so your logo is basically the compass.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I love the glowing effect. And then, I mean, I looked into a little bit of the color psychology and stuff as well. Like, oh, like blue is like trustworthy and knowledgeable, and like all these different kinds of things. So I try to incorporate that and like kind of pass that on to the artist for them to design and stuff as well.
Right on. So you mentioned that you were in track and field,
Mhm.
and you mentioned that the name Bolt came from track and field. So you were like pretty fast.
I had a sub 12-second time for the 100 meter, and I would do the 4x100 relay. So I wasn't the fastest, but we did go quite far in like our provincial area for our high school.
Right on. Yeah. So, but
Yeah,
the name Bolt, it was inspired by your years being an athlete. Huh?
yeah, yeah. But like yeah, like I mean Usain Bolt, amazing person to kind of model off of. I love that he has like a very fun spirit, and he's also able to he was able to like break so many records while also like putting in the hard work, but also having a good time while doing it. So I think that kind of take that into my life as well as a good role model, and kind of inspired that name.
Oh yeah, man. Speaking of, because it seems like your whole brand is actually built around this problem that it's hard to navigate Web3. It really
Mhm.
is. So just the fact that we're talking about you were early to certain things, just the fact that you, I guess, enjoy researching.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about some of the early calls that you had. Some of the things that, I mean, because you had to have some successes in order to get the dopamine hit to keep on pressing forward, right? So, like, what were some of the early calls that you had that you were super proud of being an alpha caller?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hard thing being alpha caller. Like, I didn't like the fact that you could be an alpha caller and you can like call like tokens, or you can call like NFTs and then like potentially dump. I prefer like the research side of things where you like look into a project and you can like, oh, this thing does have potential, and like you talk about it like really early on, and like people like find out about it later on. Um, so I mean, yeah, like with like Azra, or with like a um what's another one, like Skyborn Genesis, like they've been doing quite a few things, and I found them pretty early on as well. There has been a bunch, and I mean, not the earliest into the Wolves, but relatively Wolves was not as well known back then as they are now. So I like applied early, and I'm sure that helped secure with like less competition of people trying to get in. So I've been part of the Wolves since the end of 2022.
Right
Um,
on.
yeah,
And we're about to get into that, but
yeah,
back one step, talking about the alpha calls. So, people talk about when you try something,
hmm,
especially content creation, you just have to keep doing it and messing around with it
yeah,
until something works. And the same with marketing from what I'm learning right now. And it's some of the stuff is extremely challenging, especially when you aren't, this is not something that is your wheelhouse or my wheelhouse, right?
hmm,
So I personally have these, like F around and find out type of
yeah.
experience. So alpha calls, is it a lot of hit and miss?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of trying to find the gems within all the noise. Like there are less projects nowadays than there were before. I mean, before there's like projects popping up, like you would have like 10 launches a day, and it'd just be like crazy. It's definitely quieted down now in this market, especially in terms of NFTs. But I think it's kind of just like trying to see like what patterns, or um, what kind of ideas you believe will lead to success, and kind of following those, and just kind of, I mean, it is hard, and especially the projects that I target, in terms of like they don't have that much information at that point in time, but it's just kind of trying to keep a pattern of like, oh, this could potentially do really well because of X, Y, and Z.
So I know that a lot of people may not like giving out their trade secrets, but
Mhm.
for anybody, and by the way, there's 48 people watching right now. We've only been going up and to the right. But for anybody out there in the audience that is interested or thinking about alpha calling, doing research or content creation, specifically alpha calling, can you give any tips? Any tips that, like, let's just say you wish you knew back when you started to maybe speed things along for some new ambitious people?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different tools. I mean, one of the tools that I use is called Moni. They have a Chrome extension, and they also have their own website and stuff as well. They have a free version, and they also have a paid version. So they have given me access to the paid version. So shout out to them for helping me with finding different projects. But I think a lot of the times, like, people are very shallow with what they look for. But you have to dig pretty deep to find the gems. So like looking on LinkedIn, or looking on the if it's an investment, like looking at their like past investments, and see how successful that company or that VC is, and trying to take that indicator there. Some VCs are like very widespread, so they invest in like almost everything. But some are very focused, and they have a lot more success doing other stuff. So kind of tracking their like track records there as well is a good indicator of how successful something could be as well. um, kind of like, yeah, I guess like digging deep into the team members like actual work experience, and also kind of seeing through past the lines. Some people will say things like partnered with Amazon or like partnered with Google, and it doesn't actually mean what it means. Sometimes it's just like they got like free credits to uh, AWS or whatever. Like it's very sneaky sometimes with those kind of the wording. So it's really being careful around that as well.
That's really interesting. I mean, this is some banger information right here. This is clippable, by the way. Probably no, but this is like kind of like the heart of the show, and this
Mhm.
is your specialty. And so I thank you for coming on here and sharing some of these trade secrets. So because who knows, man, I'm all about helping people,
Yeah,
you know, and so I get the feeling that you're that way too. And there might be somebody out there that they don't even know what they're going to be doing a year from now, but this show may have helped them. So
yeah.
thank you. Um, you mentioned before about the Wolves DAO, and like I said, we're at the heart of the show, so we got to talk about the heart of Web3 gaming, which is, in my belief, it's the Wolves DAO. So you talked about getting into Wolves DAO. How did you find out about it?
Yeah, I mean, so the second thread ever that I wrote was about Azure games, like I mentioned. And at the time, Peyton, the founder of Wolves, was actually working with Azra, and he really liked my thread and me covering about the game and the project. So he gave me a whitelist spot during that time. But what he also did was encourage me to continue content creation because he knew how hard it can be. So he kind of gave me that encouragement at the time, early on into my career. And I kind of like checked out what he was up to, on top of working with Azra. So I saw that he was building something called Wolfstyle, and that looked like super interesting to me. And I was like, oh, I definitely need to get into there. So at the time, it was kind of like it's still the application process. They also encourage you to, if you did post anything on Twitter, to like tag them so that they could read up on it, to kind of see like what kind of contribution efforts you could provide to the group as well. So I was like tagging them in like all my posts that I was doing, and like, yeah, like, okay, this is the time to apply. So I eventually applied, and I filled out the application, and eventually I got accepted there. But yeah, Peyton was my direct access to that, and he really helped encourage me to continue content creation early on.
Yeah, so I talked to Peyton yesterday on that stream, and
Mhm.
inside of his bio says, and I think it says this, or is that just something Sam says? I think it says curator of canines.
Yeah.
And so you know what's so special about the dude is he really has, and he's modest about it,
Mhm.
super modest. He doesn't see himself as a leader, but he is. He is one, and this is a prime example right here. The encouragement where people are just kind of like not like he sees the talent, he pushes it forward,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that he did with you. He encouraged you to keep moving, and eventually you created, or did you already have it going? This Bolt radar company that you have established for yourself. Was it before or after Wolves?
It was a growing process at the time. It was a very experimental phase at that point of my career.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So getting into GDC, how many GDCs have you went to? It was actually my first time hearing about the. I
Mhm.
mean, I heard about it from a
Yeah,
distance, but hearing about Wolf's Den, it was definitely the first time I heard about it. But I've definitely heard of GDC.
yeah.
Have you been to many of these, or was this your first time going this past time?
This past time would have been my second one. And then the first time I went was the year before, with Wolves, for Wolves Den, but at a much smaller scale than what we had this year. Um, I didn't get to go the year before, but I did get to go to the 3XP event, in Pasadena, which was Web3 focused, around gaming, and that's where I met a lot of the wolves for the first time in person. But yeah, this year was my second GDC.
Did you have any time to get try hard mode and play any of the competitions in the den?
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot of Project O. Unfortunately, didn't do as well as I thought I would in the tournaments there. But definitely, yeah, I played a lot of games during that week. Uh,
It looked fun. I haven't had a chance to try it, but I've seen a lot of videos and some content around it. It looks like a great game. I know that there was also a game called Wildcard. Did you try that one out?
it has. I haven't tried out their 2v2, two versus two mode that they recently launched. But I have played when they had their 1v1. But yeah, Wildcard is an amazing game. It can be tough to learn sometimes with all the little different intricacies, but just getting in, like brute forcing, is always fun as well.
For sure. So there were over at GDC there were a few different houses, right? And there was some focus around at the GDCs where people get these soulbound tokens for the Wolf's Dow, and those are earned by the meat and stuff like that, right? You have to do kind things or be an outstanding member of the Wolf's Dow in order to earn these soulbound tokens. Is that something that you're inspiring to get the Wolves Dow Soulbound token?
Yeah, I do actually have a Wolf Soulbound already. Um, So yeah, I need to do a better job of representing that a little bit more. But I definitely I love the idea behind it. Yeah, with like the system, you get like meat in the Discord, and by doing a variety of different things like attending events, or providing great feedback or providing great discussions. So there isn't like a very like strict way of how that's handled. So it's not able to be gamed, but yeah, you like earn meat, and then once you have enough meat, you can like mint your soulbound token, which is an amazing process because you can look at all the different ones, and you can like pick the one that kind of represents you the most in that sense, which is always a fun time, especially when people are doing it at live events.
Yeah.
Um,
So can you tell me a little bit about that? Did you mint yours at a live event?
No, I actually didn't. There's only been actually a few people that have done them at live events. I think maybe like three or four, or like maximum off the top of my head. But yeah, it's always an amazing experience to kind of see like everybody's thought process of like what the person who's picking would pick, and then what everybody else in the crowd likes, and it's kind of like don't like interrupt them too much, or like or influence their decision too much, because it's like what they want to pick, but it's always a fun experience.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see what yours is. Can you describe? Does it have anything to do with lightning or bolts or anything like that, or do you want to share it on the screen really quick and just share that with people, or is something
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Let me pull it up. So I didn't have. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm just gonna. Where is the share media, or is it share screen?
I think it's share screen. Yeah, I think it's share
Okay,
screen, and then I'll put it
maybe
up there.
it's, yeah. There you go.
Dang, man, that's freaking like.
Yeah, I mean a little bit more ferocious than I would normally be, but they didn't really have any lightning ones. So this is as close as I got, but it's got a really nice blue and red, like blue slash purple red. But yeah, definitely really cool. I love it. So I definitely need to find a way to incorporate it along with my brand onto my socials and stuff as well.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. This is the first one that I've seen that's a little bit more ferocious. I didn't even
Yeah,
know
yeah.
there was some like this. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, thank you for sharing. We're kind of like wrapping into the last little segment right here, and I wanted to get into some of the things that you're currently working on. It's kind of like the present and a little bit of future stuff. So, what are you currently working on?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm looking to hopefully go to a third event later this year. I'm looking at potentially going back to YGG in Philippines again. If potentially we're doing something with the Wolves and whatnot there. Just trying to book off vacation can be a little bit rough sometimes. So we'll see what event I actually do go to. And that'll be my third coin of the year. And we'll get that kind of finalized, a
Oh yeah.
good collection of three, which is always amazing.
How many do you typically make when you print out or you run a batch?
I've been doing 300. I might dial it back down to 200. So we'll see how big each event is. The Philippines will actually be pretty big, so I might keep it at three. So I had a shipping issue for GDC. Like it arrived later than I expected, so I didn't get as much chance to hand them out. So it's hard to judge like what's an appropriate amount. But I think 2 to 300 is a good number.
For sure.
Um, and then yeah, I mean, continuing to level up my video content. I've been working with a new editor this year, and they've been doing a great job. So really trying to work in with them, get a better understanding to make our workflow a little bit better, and trying to get that consistency on that sense. And then continuing with my newsletter and stuff as well. Kind of learning about newsletters a little bit more and trying to up those numbers and kind of provide a different platform for people to get the insights and information from, rather than just like Twitter or whatever else other people are working on. I think newsletters are a little bit untapped in this market as well.
Absolutely. A lot, and also Substack, I believe it's called Substack. Do you ever get into Substack?
Yeah, I mean Substack. I'm using Beehive, which is pretty similar. Right now. But yeah, very similar platforms with their pros and cons on both ends, but definitely a great tool.
So you mentioned a second ago that one of your goals is to get your content creation up, and you are currently working with another video editor.
Mhm.
What platforms do you feel for everybody out there watching? And I'm super interested. I'm very very interested in this because I'm going down this rabbit hole right now of
Yeah.
multi-streaming, and right now we are streaming on Abstract X and YouTube. Just set up YouTube. So, which platforms are you focusing on?
Yeah, I mean it's a weird situation because a lot of crypto Twitter is on Twitter, obviously. Like a lot of the crypto discussion is on Twitter. But starting to try to learn how to branch out. I think TikTok or YouTube are great avenues. Streaming on Abstract has been a ton of fun as well. So it's kind of probably what I'm leaning towards in the future is not to like post the same content on all these different platforms, but like really curate it to each of their specialties, and have different content for like YouTube or TikTok versus different content on Twitter. So we'll kind of have to play around with that, with like longer or shorter formats and stuff as well.
So, I want to pick your brain on something. Since
Mhm.
we have you here on the stream, and this is Interview with a Wolf number 12,
Yeah,
and you're an alpha caller, dude. We got to ask you, bro. Like we're running at the last 10 or so minutes of the stream right here.
yeah.
The alpha that you've been hunting right now that you could just give a little bit of alpha to the 50 people, by the way, shout out to you, that are watching right now?
I mean, in terms of early alpha, I've been a little bit on vacation, so I'm a little bit behind on that until the weekend.
Oh,
But in terms of what I'm excited for, I'm definitely excited for Project O. They had a great showing in GDC. I've actually been working with the team as well on providing the game side feedback, along with a ton of other great like card game or like Marvel Snap players and stuff as well. So I've been working closely with the team on that front. I haven't done many investments in any like kill rounds or anything like that in quite some time. But I did put in some money into the blueprints for Project O. So kind of my one opportunity to dump a little bit more money into the scene that I truly believe in. So definitely excited for what they're doing and what they have plans for the later half of the year in terms of their campaign. To get your hands on blueprints if you're not able to buy. I think what they're doing is really exciting, and they definitely had again, a great showing. Like a lot of players or gamers at the GDC house weren't trading card game native, and they still really enjoyed the game a ton, which is a great sign for like a more casual mobile focused game. So definitely excited for that. Unfortunately, yeah, not many early alpha projects that I can talk about just yet. Coming back from vacation this week.
Yeah, because you just literally got back a few days ago.
Yeah, I flew back in on Tuesday.
Well, I tell you what, man. This right here is is you mentioned just a second ago that you have a newsletter. Where can people find the newsletter?
Yeah, it'll be. I
Is it
have it in
signing up,
my.
is it like signing up for an email or something? They have to give you. Is it like an email or newsletter?
Yeah, so it'll be an email newsletter. You can also like just visit the link, and kind of similar to Substack, you'll be able to access all the posts as well. As well.
Okay, and by the way, I think he's talking about the link in his bio, the
Yeah,
beehive.com subscribe. Okay, got it. So check out the link in Bolt's bio, and that is Beehive, as you mentioned. So you
yeah,
can subscribe there.
yeah. So that's a beehive of two eyes, and no e. But that's just their platform. But yeah, the link is in the bio. What I generally try to do as well, if you are only on Twitter, is I'll try to do a thread on the early alpha projects and also do a video on all the gaming news, all of that stuff as well. But if you want the earliest information, you get it sent directly to your email through that newsletter.
Hell yeah, man. So since Bolt is back in town, he's going to be researching, he's going to
Yeah.
be digging deep. That was some really, really cool. It was a cool look into what it takes to be an alpha caller. So, yeah, it's some certain things that I didn't even really realize. Like what you said, you go into LinkedIn and you look at the investment teams and you look at their past history, you look at the team. Some of these things at a surface level, it's it's kind of it's one of these things where people think it's obvious, but it's probably a little bit deeper than that. It's probably a little bit harder than what it looks like on the surface level. So, um, just wanted to say, man, thank you so much for coming today. It's been an absolute pleasure. If you can stick around for a couple of minutes, just wanted to say goodbye to you, just kind of
Yeah.
talk to you behind the scenes and stuff like that. But if there's anything else that you want to say to anybody, any announcements about anything that you're working on right now, now's the time, brother.
I mean, yeah, nothing too much. I mean, I'm looking to do, I guess, more strategy guides in the future. Looking to do more game breakdowns and stuff as well in the future, and yeah, really leveling up that video content. But shout out to Paul for having me on, and all the interviews have been great so far. So I'm excited to see more wolves. Kind of showcase what they're building and stuff as well. So
Hell
super
yeah,
excited
man! So
to.
if there's any wolves watching, man, I've been hitting you up, and I see, by the way, and I'm calling you out, dude, because you DM'd me the other day and you finally responded to me. So I think we're going to be setting something up.
Nice.
Let's see. But I will say thank you so much for coming, dude. It's been freaking awesome getting to know you. Definitely got to keep in touch. And this has been Interview with the Wolf number 12. We dive into the DAO. We meet the members of the DAO, the Wolf's DAO. I just wanted to say one more thank you to Bolt and peace out.
Lord, well, I took that run to heaven, but somehow I came and falling back down. Well, that night on the beach, you said you love me, but I don't believe a word from your mouth.